hundreds of people have been killed and over 10,000 have been arrested during protest in Iran. Across the country, students, workers, and others have been on street demonstrating against the Iran's clerical leadership. This is the latest episode of Seema Says, where the Vice editor Seema Chishti explains what is happening lately. Hi Seema.
Hi.
What is happening in Iran?
Oh, I wish I knew. So I must state at the very outset, and I think our viewers who are also interested would know this, that the sources of information are very thin. Credible information isn't really coming out. I was trawling through, I could not get through IRNA, which is the official kind of news agency of Iran. Their site was not accessible. I tried Tehran Times. So they are giving a very clear picture of pro-government protests, of which there have been a lot, tens of thousands of people holding the pictures of their leadership, etc., and condemning all other protests as terror moves because they're also attacking mosques. There are visuals of people trying to vandalize places. On the other side, you have reports of body bags and deaths of more than 500 people. You said thousands. Certainly 544 is what an American-based human rights, at least, group says. So it's not clear, and they're of course talking about average Iranians across the country, outside Tehran as well, being on the streets, protesting prices, etc. Now, this is not the first time we're seeing this after 1979, ever since it became an Islamic republic, and particularly since 2009, these protests have been, at various times there's been the speculation that the regime will be overthrown, but the regime manages to get the better of the protesters, and it clearly is deep-rooted. This kind of ideology has been in place for 3 decades, and it doesn't seem that an organization strong enough to be able to uproot the regime and win the loyalty of the army, the Revolutionary Guards, which is the critical, the people who have arms in a country, almost hold the balance of power. So we don't really know what's happening there. Mr. Trump's kind of behavior in this has been appalling. His earlier attempts at attacking Iran, at bombing Iran, and then the casual nature with which also the conversation after that went, even now threatening Iran like this, with no sense of responsibility. And also previously the bombings happened in the middle of conversations and talks that they were in with the United States and the West. So because of the context of Venezuela, Trump talking very cavalierly about Greenland, about even Canada, threatening Mexico, Cuba, and throwing Iran in the mix, this has made the whole situation very volatile. This morning, he has issued another 25% tariff on anybody who does any kind of trade with Iran. And this includes China. This, of course, also would have an implication on India. And as the Wire story says, a shadow hangs over India too. So all in all, a very volatile, difficult situation, almost reminiscent of just before the World War breaking out, because sure, he's doing it for oil. There is this oil component going after places where he says it very clearly, unlike even the old imperial issue of people saying that there's a civilizing mission. There is Rudyard Kipling who talks about how he has to improve the lives of the blacks and the browns. There's none of that. We're just going in for the oil. So I think in this kind of a situation with a very tenuous balance with the America, clearly a sunset power now, the shape of the world order beyond in a post-American scenario not being very clear, these are very dangerous times.
I also want to, I read that there are 2 kinds of narratives. One is the pro-government, the pro-clerical narrative. The other is the anti-clerical, pro-Shah narrative. Is there a third kind of narrative as well?
I should certainly hope so, because I think in this whole business of throwing out the clergy and this kind of the Ayatollah regime in Iran is one thing, and there are a lot of things they do which need complete change, and the revolution of 79 was also in a sense hijacked by the Islamists. So no doubt that was there. But to go back to a monarchy, to Raza Shah Pahlavi's kind of people who are his descendants, so that's what kind of makes me very skeptical about what kind of change or reform is this, kind of to bounce back and to go back to the king or the dynasty or the dynast earlier, and their approach to the West, their compromises after Mossadegh, who was the elected Iranian prime minister, was deposed by the West because they found his positions on oil and resources very inconvenient. So yeah, all in all, I certainly hope that a third narrative, which talks for a pro-people, democratic opening of the Iranian regime exists. And if there's a change, and that change happens, which is not to the detriment of the Iranian people again, but helps them get out of this. I must say one thing, that the heart of all this is also economic hardships faced by the people of Iran. The economic impetus in what's happening here, or the economic root of all this, must be taken into account. Iran is reeling under very difficult sanctions, where from milk powder to grain to tarring anybody who does trade with them with their oil, etc., has made life very difficult for them. So the anger at the inflation, the absence of goods, and the economy, which is affecting the lives of ordinary Iranians. And the West cannot say that we squeeze countries or we don't like, or whose leaders we don't like, or who don't play ball with us, or don't allow Exxon or Chevron or our big multinationals to come in. We push these sanctions on you, make people's life desperate so that they revolt and the regime gets overthrown. So this kind of very crazy neo-imperial logic that is now playing out, which is what's happening in Venezuela. The regime continues to be in place, only Maduro has been kidnapped, and they are expected to play ball with big multinationals. So I think that whole economic strain that runs through all these crises and then leads to a whole lot of other problems. I'm not saying that there aren't a whole lot of other problems, but the economic squeeze becomes impossible for the people to suffer. You're choking them, and then it leads to these kind of disruptions. But falling under some great multinational kind of drive of Mr. Trump's crony friends cannot be the solution for Iran or for any other country.
So it is important to note that while Iran is protesting against the clerical rule, India, as per a report by World's Value Survey, is moving in the opposite direction. It is declining in democracy, religiosity, and scientific temper. Moving on.
That's very depressing. You must put it in the show notes, though.
Yes, you can find the report in the description. Moving on, as per the annual global study published by the United Nations Holocaust Memorial, India is among the top countries at the risk of mass atrocities after Myanmar, Chad, and Sudan. How do you explain this?
So this is like very disturbing, because the US Holocaust Museum is not just a museum. They are scholars who study, who look at trends, who look at what's happening in societies now, in countries now, and look at their experience, their vast data trove of where mass violence has taken place. And they try and see if there are common patterns. So they don't say that there are causes here or anything. They're not alarmist, but they do put together very disturbing facts that we don't tend to look at, because it's the drip, it's, it's coming in day by day, and who has the time to put it all together. But they put out an annual report, and their report from 2025 finds India amongst the top 4 nations here. The other nations, as you pointed out, Chad, Somalia, and Myanmar, are already seeing and experiencing that kind of violence. Sorry, not Somalia, but Sudan. They are already seeing that kind of violence. So for India, which is otherwise the world's greatest democracy, vibrant democracy, if the similar trends, not a prediction, but similar trends have been spotted which suggest that mass violence could break out, I think it's a big wake-up call, and we should pay attention, because a whole lot of others also who look at Genocide Watch, which looks at what are the things that are the disturbing signs that are in place for a genocide to come out. I think India hits 8 out of those 10 points. So this is concerning, and India's social fabric is not up for just giving away. It's a very important social good. It's the essence of what keeps India together. There used to be Fevicol ads many years ago talking about the India bind. We need to get back and put some sticky in there. That's definitely frayed, and this report is disturbing.
In the second phase of SIR, nearly 6.5 crore people have been deleted from the draft roll of 9 states and 3 union territories. 2.89 crore of these deleted voters are alone from the state of Uttar Pradesh. Can you explain?
Well, I mean, SIR we are again caught in the minutiae of SIR, that this BLO and that small point, etc. What's disturbing about SIR, and this is something that Yogendra Yadav told our political editor Ajoy Ashirwad, that there's a fundamental design flaw in the SIR. The way it's being done, the squeeze in the time within which all this is being executed, with very poorly equipped BLOs under so much pressure. There have been reports of these suicides. So, and I think beyond all that, the SIR really needs a relook, because what it's essentially saying is that all of us are non-citizens till the SIR establishes that we can prove that we have a relative in the 2002 electoral rolls. the whole randomness, arbitrariness, and the size of this exercise. When we look at the state of Uttar Pradesh, it is India's most populous state. You're looking at crores of people. Here we talk about just one person being disenfranchised is such a big slap. So I think in terms of its fundamentally being opposed to constitutional practice, the timing, the way it's being done, and of course the details. And this is where I think it's very important that we have cases like the former Admiral Arun Prakash, Mohammad Shami, Amartya Sen, these names are coming up. It's not a case that VIPs can't be SIR'd out. They can, very well-known people can. That only tells us, it's like a dipstick test. It's testing a grain of rice in a large bowl of rice, that is the rice cooked or not, that if very elite people, privileged people who would have a record, they're literate people, well known, if they are unable to meet the demands of the BLOs or the exacting demands of the SIR or establish connection with somebody in 2002, what must be happening to the average citizen? And in Uttar Pradesh particularly, Yogendra Yadav actually spoke with reference to the State Election Commission, which is different from the central, from the EC as it were. And there is a radical difference in the number of voters the state election came up with for local elections because there was no SIR. So there's a difference of, I think, 3 crore voters between the list prepared by them and the SIR draft roll. So it's kind of very confusing. It's very distressing. We had the CM of the state, Adityanath, go out and say ki hamare vote cut rahe hain, our voters are going out. So this is the new booth agenda. So, are we going to now make even universal adult franchise a big victory of India? And India, it reflects, if there was one thing that reflects our commitment to being a secular democracy, it's universal adult franchise. That whoever is there above 18, all Indians have a vote. I'm equal to Mr. Adani, I'm equal to a great artist, I'm equal to Ambani, I'm equal to a big cricketer. We are all equal. If that is coming under a cloud in the way this is being executed, the speed of it, and the whole principle of this looking for a relative in the 2002 electoral rolls, I think this is not a very healthy sign for people's trust in democracy and the quality of India's democracy.
Right. Moving ahead to the last segment of the show where Seema recommends.
Oh God.
What are Seema's recommendations?
Yeah, so I think I've had like very little time last week, but I would recommend Laura Shepard Robinson's book. It's called The Art of a Lie. It's fiction. It's like a mystery. And Laura, I've read all her books. She used to be a political kind of activist, and now she writes kind of novels. She writes novels which are located in old England, in medieval England. So you think, oh, it's all very nice, but tea and scones and big skirts and corsets and all that. No, she actually, she wrote something about slave owners, and she highlights things from those in very pretty times, and they have a deep resonance here. So even The Art of a Lie is great. It's about a young widow whose husband's been murdered and who runs a bakery. So I would recommend that. And the other second very quick recommendation is, of course, the Kochi Biennale, which is on till March. I recommend that everybody who can goes and sees it. It's perfection, it's creativity, and really nice, and a great ode to labor and those issues that have come out with all the artists really doing a very good job with their creation.
Okay.
Your recommendation?
I am reading this book called All About Love by Bell Hooks. It's a beautiful book. It's about healing. It's about love and the challenges it faces in a patriarchal setup during the time of oppression, etc. So it's a beautiful read. And my second recommendation is an episode that is releasing today evening, 7 p.m. at the Wire's YouTube channel, in which Seema herself and Romila, Thapar and Namit Arora explains to us why is history so controversial in India. Thank you, Seema, for your recommendation and for explaining what is happening in India and Iran. Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you, Minal.